When you set out to make a movie, it doesn't happen exactly the way you have it in your head. There is this exploration, there is this evolution, there's this unfolding or revealing of the material.
Depending on what you need from them, what side of the room you're on, what you're looking at, you need everybody to peak at the same time. Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make strangers feel something at the same time. If you talk to a production designer and they're good, they're not talking to you about, you know, how many, we got to lay all the subfloor, we got to do this, you know, we got how much paint it's going to take. They're not talking to you about that. They're talking to you about the feeling. They're talking to you about the thing that you want to evoke.
Whether it's for real or whether it's fake, you have to have confidence because human beings are, they don't want to be led by somebody who's like, oh God, I don't know. What do you guys think? You know, they want somebody who's going to definitively say, here's what we're going to do and this is going to be right. And so it takes you 10 or 15 years to get comfortable enough to just go, dude, it's my way or the highway.
You're wrangling a circus that has to, over the course of 100 days, this movie took 106 days to shoot. Dragon Tattoo took 150 days to shoot. Over those 100+ days, you need everybody to peak, depending on what you need from them, what side of the room you're on, what you're looking at. You need everybody to peak at the same time. Boom operator has to peak, dolly grip has to peak, camera operator has to peak, actors have to peak. In the over-the-shoulder, you know, you may have the most wonderful actor in the world and you're just seeing past their ears. And if they're doing this, it's incredibly distracting. So you got to go to, you know, Laurence Olivier by any other name and go, just hold still while we get this. You're kind of, you're trying to get everybody to be on the same page, everybody to be in the same movie, everybody to be in the same moment. And that's a lot of work. That's what you're doing. You're sculpting behavior over time. And you're given a very, very finite amount of patience that the audience has for you to get those ideas across. And to think of it in that way, it's not Chinese checkers. It's not about, okay, well, I did that, I did the over, and now I'm doing, no, it's three-dimensional chess. It's, you know, as I say to most of the actors that I work with, I don't want your best version of this scene to mandate how the scene gets cut. I want the best version of the story to mandate where I am at any point in the room. So you're going to have to be good. If I have 15 setups, you're going to have to be good at least 15 times.
I wanted to ask David, when you're presented with a script, with a written story, how do you start thinking about turning it into a visual story?
Look, I've said this a lot, and I don't have a better answer. It's a very peculiar thing, you know, when because you have friends who say, hey, read my script, or, you know, people kind of, I have writer friends who get lost and they, you know, say, hey, will you take a look at this? And it's a very different thing than when you're reading a script that you might make. You know, when you're reading a script of something you might make, you have to turn off the phone, and you have to, you know, you have to get rid of the iPad, and you have to like sit down, and you have to go into that thing of, okay, Netflix logo, Netflix logo, and then the thing starts, and you're sort of being, you're imagining it, right? Which is a very different thing than just reading something. So it's tricky. You know, it's not like my eyes don't roll back in my head and it's speaking tongues or anything. But you do have to kind of clear the decks and go, okay, what do they mean by this? Is this humorous? Is the writer being humorous here? Is this something that's supposed to be a visual? You know, and I start making my notes. But remember, you know, it takes 2 years for me, not for the other directors, but it takes you know, me about 1.5 to 2 years to make anything. So I've got to be able to remember that Saturday morning when nobody interrupted me and I could get through the script the first time, so I can kind of have an umbilical connection to that, so I can go, oh, that's what was exciting about this. Because you do forget, when the sun's going down and the Teamsters were revolting, just kind of, why? It was interesting about this. So you have to be able to access that.
A friend of mine once, he was directing his first film, and he called me and he said, "How many takes can I ask for?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm working with this actress, and she's said to me, she's only going to give me 6 takes." And I said, as far as I'm concerned, you ask for whatever it is you need. I've never understood. It's not about It's not about an actor presenting their work to 40 people around them. It's about, it's the boom operator, it's the camera operator, it's, can you tweak the light better? Can the person hit a mark better? Can they be in there's so many it's not just about the actor, that's the focus of what you're trying to get, but it's a ballet between so many different people. And to me, that's the thing, is to make it all coalesce, make it all look effortless.
It's all about taste. Equipment's easy. Every time I see kids who say, well, how am I going to make my movie unless I can, get Hollywood to pay for it? It's like, get an iPad. Like, you don't have an iPad, your parents don't have an iPad? Like, someone has an iPad. Like, go make your movie. You can write on it, you can email that script around to your friends, you can get them all to show up at the same place, you can film with it, you can edit with it. There's no excuse.
Well, okay, first of all, I tried to buy the book, and 20th Century Fox bought it. And I remember thinking, well, that's that. And Josh Donnan, who became my agent, who was the guy who was trying to buy the book with me, said, you should go and you should talk with Laura Ziskin, because Laura Ziskin is not Fox. It's not the Fox that you had to deal with on Alien. I said, here's the 2 ways you can go. You can do the $3 million version of this movie and make it on videotape and make your seditious little sharp stick in somebody's eye who may see it someday in some little tiny theater, or may go straight to DVD. Or the real act of sedition here is the $50 million version, give or take. And to put movie stars in it and get people to go and talk about, this anti-consumerist rantings of a schizophrenic madman. So we went off. When we came back, we had a schedule, we had a budget, we had a cast, we had storyboards, and we had a script. And we said, here it is. And we took it out to dinner. We put this giant thing on the table and we said, here it is. It's $62.5 million. It's Brad Pitt, it's Edward Norton, and you have 3 days. Let us know.
Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make strangers feel something at the same time. So everything that you do as you are defining what you're going to do is about making strangers feel something all at the same time. If you talk to a production designer and they're good, they're not talking to you about, oh my God, do you have any idea how many people it's going to take to come in here and, we got to lay all the subfloor, we got to do this, how much paint it's going to take. They're not talking to you about that. They're talking to you about the feeling. They're talking to you about the thing that you want to evoke. They're talking to you about, well, I don't think that Benjamin at this point in his life should be living upstairs. I think he should be living downstairs. And I think the reason why is because he has to be living with the help. He can't. So you have those kinds of discussions. Everything that you're, when you're talking to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, you're not talking about use this synthesizer or this drum machine or whatever. You're talking about, I need a feeling happening here. I want, with this movie, the thing that I said to him when I showed him was, I want spa music. I want I want your version, because he can't do anything like anybody else. He's gonna make it Trent Reznor. I want your version of the kind of music that they play when you get a massage. It's always supposed to be this music that kind of calms you and lets you know everything's gonna be okay. give that to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross and see what they come back with, and you end up with something that makes you go, it just sounds like the hair standing up in the back of your neck. But it still has this idea behind it, because the idea is the important thing.
So when you go to a crew, you turn to 90 people, and you have all these faces sort of looking at you like, what do you want to do next? Which is a terrifying thing, because you have to have, whether it's for real or whether it's fake, you have to have confidence, because human beings they don't want to be led by somebody who's like, oh God, I don't know. What do you guys think? They want somebody who's going to definitively say, here's what we're going to do, and this is going to be righteous and God-fearing, and that's the way it has to be. And so it takes you 10 or 15 years to get comfortable enough to just go, dude, it's my way or the highway. You have to be able to do that. And so I've spent, it wasn't until I was 40 that I could kind of go, here's what we're doing, here's exactly what we're doing, here's all I want, and mean it, and people would sort of go right away.
I think that we are in a really, really interesting time where we're sitting on the fence between television and film, and if we play our cards right, we can build a whole new backyard. And there's no reason for, there are so many kind of techniques that have been inherited from both disciplines that don't necessarily apply to storytelling in the 21st century. We don't read newspapers the same way we used to. Why would we watch television the same way that we used? Why would we go to a theater and be aware of act breaks and, here comes the complicator, and now we're in the third act, and now they've got to tell me, I don't like signposting. I want to be lost. I want to be inside a story. We have episodes in the season that, unbeknownst to me, are 34 minutes long. So, it's that thing of when you kind of cut it all and you get the shape that you want, it slides one way or another, and there shouldn't be this sort of metronomic, Pavlovian, here's where we are in the story. So many movies, I feel like I can, I know when they're going to remind me of what the big point is in the third act. I know when they're going, I can feel it. You can feel all the buttons being pushed and the levers being pulled. And I like the idea of creating cinematic stories that you don't know where you are in the woods.
You're known for being very precise in your directing. Somebody else was known for his precision was Alfred Hitchcock, who was also a master of suspense, but he was also meticulous in his preparations. How meticulous are you in your prepping?
I try to be. I try to kind of take everything that can go wrong into account, because something's going to go wrong on any given day. But I don't also want to overthink something to the point where it's just becomes sort of boring execution or, checking off a list. I want it to be communal, and I want people to have an investment. I want the actors and the cinematographer and the dolly grip, and I want people to be invested in coming up with ways to make things more concise.
Anybody who knows anything about movies knows that when a movie works, it's usually luck. It's calculated. You're trying to elicit a certain response, but when it really happens, it's a confluence of so many different career paths all crossing over at exactly the right moment.